I was watching like this show where they were like talking about movies that ruined, that movie stars didn't do, and that basically saved their careers because it killed the careers of the other people that did the movies.
That's a really sad thing to watch, but continue.
And so it was like, oh, there were like 3 or 4 movies on there that I was like, I'd never even thought about. But once they mentioned them, I was like, oh, Son of the Mask. Oh, yes.
Oh, God, Jamie Kennedy.
That
Yeah, no, that'll be good.
That movie was an atomic bomb up his butt.
Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
And I'm Tony.
And we're people who watch movies and then comment on it because our society is all about commenting on things and not doing anything. Yes.
We fit right in. We're great citizens of the world.
Part of the zeitgeist of our country. This week we picked, Tony picked it. No, wait, I picked a gem.
No, you picked it.
Oh, I picked a gem. The Hollywood stinker Ghostbusters 2016 from Sony, Columbia.
Stinker is a misnomer. This movie was trash before it came out. Never got a chance to flourish. Some bullshit.
You just said it was trash before it came out. It was absolutely trash before it came out. It was
trash by people who were upset that, oh no, they put females in a male movie. What a bunch of hokum.
This was a movie that I remember reading all the stuff about, and I was like, that's interesting. It'll be interesting when I watch this movie for the first time, what my assessment is, because I actually enjoy most of the people in this movie. And so when I watched it for the first time, I hated it because it was terrible. And
that's so weird to me.
Because of the leads, because it's a terrible movie. And then I didn't even make it through it. I was like, it was so bad, I just turned it off. I was like, I don't even want to watch
that. That shocks me to my core. I think this is a near perfect blockbuster. This is, I said it before, I give this an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. Easy. I laugh so hard consistently throughout the movie. The special effects are not my favorite, I'll be honest, but they're fine. I mean, it's not like they're bad. I would have gone a different direction, but that's just me. That's why I don't make movies. But this movie was great. We saw it in the theaters a couple times, bought it immediately when it came out. We love it. Seen it several times since then.
What would you classify this? What movies would you classify alongside this movie? The one movie I was thinking of as I was watching this movie was the movie Airplane, because a lot of the jokes are just kind of incongruous, random things that people randomly say, and this movie never feels like there's any jeopardy. It never feels like the characters are under any duress. It never feels like anything. Correct. So you like that aspect of it. That
name one blockbuster, and I mean this, a summer blockbuster. Name one movie that you genuinely feel like there's jeopardy in it.
All the Avengers movies.
I couldn't disagree more. I don't think there's ever a second of that. I mean, at one point they snap and kill half the people, and then they're like, "Don't worry, we're bringing them back next movie." Which I know it's a comic story, whatever, but there's never a moment where I genuinely feel like there's jeopardy in any of those movies.
So when Spider-Man dies, you're like, whatever, he's coming back, who cares?
I laughed the first time I saw it in the theaters. I laughed. I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Because, and here's the thing, my wife, super affected by it. She was crying, and I could not stop laughing because, yes, not only is he coming back in the next movie, but he has 2 more movies on his contract. Who fucking cares? It's so stupid. I mean, that's a whole other story. We could talk about Avengers all day, how much I hated it.
Wait a second. You hated Avengers, but you love this piece of garbage?
Infinity War. I hated Avengers Infinity. Like, let me rephrase. I don't hate it as a movie. I hate it as a gimmick. I think that making that 2 movies was stupid. You either have to go all the way and kill them and do an entire phase where the people are dead and we're dealing with those things, or you just fucking say scrap it, because there is no jeopardy. There's no moment where you're living in this pain. There's half a movie where the people are gone and then they bring them back. I think it was
Wait a second. So your
yeah.
wife is sitting there crying. Everyone in the movie
Yeah.
theater is getting emotionally affected. And you're like, wow, 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 wow. This is hilarious. See, don't you think maybe you're
I
the
would
person
never
who got it wrong?
I would never laugh out loud and ruin someone's movie theater experience, Dan. I don't believe in that.
Sorry.
I'm not doing it to be mean.
You're
I'm
guffaw-
laughing like this. I'm laughing like this. Like that the whole time.
You realize everyone else in the theater is a human being and is emotionally affected by what's happening.
I disagree. I don't think it has anything to do with being a human being. It's allowing yourself to be tricked. And that's all it is. It's a trick, it's a gimmick. And you yourself have said many times you hate gimmicks that pull on the heartstrings. Like, because it's not real. If you prove to me there's real emotion, I'm all in. But if you do it as a gimmick, go fuck yourself.
But I care about those characters. I care about those characters.
That's great. They're coming back. They're coming right back because we all know, 1, it's a 2-part movie. 2, we all know the story. 3, they all have contracts that have been visibly spoken about in the press. I'm sorry. There's a lot of movies we could have gone with. That was a bad choice, I think.
No, this is a perfect choice because it shows that you can't suspend any disbelief.
I mean, in that situation, no, because it's not a suspension of belief in the world, because that world has already told me they're coming back. That's the problem. If this was just a one-off movie and they killed everybody, and then years later, they're like, we're bringing them all back, I think that's great. If you tell me this is part 1 of part 2 and you're going to bring everybody back, why would I care about your movie?
Wow. See, I think my point is always, if you make me care about the characters, then you manipulate me, then I'm properly manipulated. That's what a movie wants to do. They want you to care about the characters, and so when they do terrible things to them, you're like, oh my God. Usually what these movies do is they don't get me to care about the characters, and then they do manipulative things, and I'm like, I don't care. I die. I hope your character dies.
But they're not dead. That's the point. There is no death. It's like they call it, what is it, the blink or some shit like that, whatever it is. I mean, it's there's never any real death in it until Tony Stark. And when Tony Stark dies, I bawl. I fucking bawl because I know he's dead.
He's not coming back in the next movie.
100%, because this really is the end. None of that's the end of those characters. That's like them going to lunch. It's like, you know what? Hey, have fun at lunch. I'll see you in an hour. That's how I feel about Avengers Infinity War. They end it on a lunch break. And they're like, we'll see you next time, guys. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
But the whole idea is, okay, let's go back to the what's her name stepping on the nail. She steps on the nail. We feel pain. We feel emotional pain.
Oh, yeah.
We know that she didn't step on the nail. We know that actress is fine. It's a special effect.
No, see, that's the difference. You're saying that it didn't happen in real life. I'm saying only in the movie world. In the world of the Avengers, if I was living in that world and he's like, hey, half the people died, but guess what? They're going to come back before you even realize they're gone. Who the fuck cares?
But Tony, you're saying if I lived in the movie world, I would have outside information about the non-movie world, which would
exactly
how I feel.
That's exactly right. That's why it's so ridiculous. Because in that world, they're coming back. But that is my exact point, is the world itself never really embraces it because they don't give it time. There's no time to breathe. They end the movie, the next movie starts, half hour in, they're bringing people back.
So hold on a second. So if there'd have been like Infinity War, The Pause, where everybody was dead for a whole movie, then you would have cried?
I would need more than a movie. I want to see these characters live with that emotion. That's what would get me to be sad. Not the people that are dying. It's the people that are still there should be the story. So because these people that are dying, we know they're coming back, right? I'm sorry, I'm never going to get sad about that. Never in a million years. If you tell me they're coming back, who cares if they're dead? But if you live in that world and feel the weight like Captain America, Chris Evans could pull that off so good. If you gave him two movies to live with that pain, that weight that he survived and no one else lived, that's a great story. There's nothing there. It's hokum. There's literally nothing there.
Oh, you're so pathetic. It's hilarious. Okay, let's talk about a terrible movie as opposed to a good movie, which
I mean,
you could
good luck.
mostly
You
in
picked
because
a
you're not
10 out
human.
of 10. I'm bumping it up to a 10 out of 10 now.
Okay,
Just in defiance.
so we start in the Aldrich Mansion, New York City mansion. Then we have the guy from Silicon Valley who's leading tours, and he rattles off 3 jokes really fast that just turned me off to the whole movie because they were just bad jokes.
That is so. The P.T. Barnum joke I immediately laughed out loud. That joke to me, funnier than any joke in the original Ghostbusters. Which I only think there's 4 or 5, but that joke to me, I laughed so hard and I was like, yep, I remember why I love this movie.
Well, let's do the first two terrible jokes, then we'll get to your P.T. Barnum joke, which is a terrible joke.
It's a great joke.
This is
When
a
he first
place
had the idea to enslave elephants. Hilarious.
Okay. Well, the first joke is this is the first place that had a face bidet.
Yeah.
That's a funny joke to you.
No, that's the build up to the third beat.
Oh,
it's a listing sketch.
Oh, so he's gonna tell 2 jokes that are not funny. Then he's gonna tell this.
No, not funny, but it's so those aren't really jokes, right?
Yeah, no,
they're the list that builds.
Oh no, that's that. They thought that was a joke. They were like, "It's a face bidet."
Dan, they're all sketch writers. Everyone who wrote this is as a part of it is a sketch writer. You know that they're building the sketch here.
And then they have the anti-Irish fence,
which is very funny to me. Yes.
What's an anti-Irish fence? What does that mean?
Keeps the Irish people out.
How does it do that? How does that work?
Well, it's clearly a magic fence that keeps out the Irish people.
Oh,
that's why it's funny.
Fence. Yeah, magic fence.
Because it's nonsensical.
Are
you gonna tell me all jokes have to be rooted in science?
Face bidet, miss. Anti-Irish fence, miss. This is the room where P.T. Barnum learned to enslave elephants.
First had the idea. He didn't learn to enslave them. He first had the idea like, hey, I should enslave elephants. Great stuff. Had me laughing out loud.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure the 9-year-old watching Airplane, like when I was 9 years old and I watched Airplane, I laughed at all those funny jokes when they put some lights on the runway and a big truck pours a bunch of house lamps onto the thing. 9-year-old dad laughs his ass off.
This is a kid's movie.
This is a kid's movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. The original Ghostbusters, not really a kid's movie.
Okay, so
this Ghostbusters, absolutely a kid's movie. 100%.
Like what movies is it? Oh, is this a kid's movie?
Yeah, this is a family-friendly affair, 100%.
Oh.
What movie did you think you were watching?
I thought I was watching a comedy movie that was made for adults. I did not think it was a kid's movie.
It's PG-13. It's not an adult movie. It's made for everybody, for sure, but it's family-friendly.
It's made for 9 to 13-year-olds.
Sure, yeah, great. Sell that merchandise. That was in the original Ghostbusters. Where do you think they made all the merchandising money? Kids.
Well, actually, they didn't make any money on merchandising with the original Ghostbusters.
Not originally.
Ghostbusters became a kids' franchise when they made a cartoon.
I mean, the cartoon vastly superior to the film as well.
Yes, it was an adult movie made, which kids like too, because it was fun and interesting, as opposed to this movie, which is
interesting. We should save. I'll try to save as much as my panning of the original Ghostbusters till the end. But that movie is far from interesting.
So the tour continues, and then it ends, and then stuff starts happening, and then for whatever reason he starts running around, and he chooses to run away into the basement where the
It leads him right there.
where the
Opens
floor
that door for him.
is cracking, and then there's slime, and then there's a smoke monster, and something bad happens to him. But we'll see him
But you
later,
don't know.
and nothing really happened to him. So it
Which
wasn't
is
really bad.
which is identical to the first scene in the original movie where the ghost is there and it just screams and they all run away. Nothing really happens.
But
It is
they didn't run into the clutches of the ghost in real Ghostbusters, right?
well, I mean, they walk into they're literally there to hunt the ghosts in the original. So, like in the original, they're already Ghostbusters, and they get a call, and they're like, "There's someone in the library." So they go. One of the only jokes. That's not true. I'm being mean to the original for no reason. But one of the better jokes in the movie is Ray's like, "I have a plan. Get her!" And that's his whole plan. And then the ghost screams, and they run away.
Yeah, they ran away. Wow, actual joke, not some sort of airplane bit.
Are you to be clear? Are you saying that you think Airplane is not a good movie, not a comedic movie?
I think it's a different kind of comedy, and I think it's a kind of comedy that's broad and doesn't and actually, and I think this movie bears it out. It doesn't appeal to a wide audience anymore. I don't think slapsticky.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Because I think if you're making a movie like Airplane or like this movie, and you want to sell it as a slapstick wacky movie, which the first Ghostbuster is not at all.
Correct. They're
Well,
very different films.
So in other words, making a movie based on another movie and then completely switching this is a genre switch.
Yes, absolutely.
And
They're not remaking, it's a reboot. Let's be sure that we're making those two things separate. A remake and a reboot are very different things.
But it's a complete genre switch. So
yes, 100%.
It's like going from a comedy movie to an action adventure movie. And so when you walk in expecting a comedy movie and you find an action adventure movie, you're like, what the hell is this shit?
Strong disagree. First movie, I don't consider a comedy. I think it has funny pieces. The movie itself, not funny. I laugh out loud maybe twice. This movie, I laugh out loud beginning to end.
But okay, well, that's the whole point. The whole point is this is a complete genre switch, and so it's not at all surprising that nobody liked it.
Oh no, I agree. I'm not saying that I think that it's surprising that people were mad that it wasn't like the original Ghostbusters. I think that people are unable to detach themselves from the original to see the new one, which is a reboot and not a remake. They are not remaking Ghostbusters. They're rebooting the franchise entirely different. Was the plan? Didn't work out. But this movie is a completely different movie, but 100% stands up on its own.
Was that a smart thing to do?
Clearly not.
No,
I think that in a room, I think that I can understand why you would make that decision, because you don't want to be. I believe the idea is let's not be compared too much to the original. Let's not try to do what the original did, because that movie is considered near perfect. So let's make our own version and do like subtle nods so the fans that come see it are still happy because it, talks about the original, but it's a brand new thing for this new generation of people. It didn't work, but I can understand how you would get to that decision.
Okay, so Lethal Weapon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Came out with Lethal Weapon 1. Incredible movie.
Phenomenal.
You were like, it was real. These were people going through things. Then we have Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Where it becomes a comedy.
And it's also phenomenal, but a different movie. And the thing is, I understand why people get upset with that, but I find myself able to detach the two. They are not the same movie, for sure. Lethal Weapon is what I call a real movie, and Lethal Weapon 2 is a funny buddy cop movie. Both are great in their own way. Lethal Weapon 1, obviously vastly superior. I don't think we can argue that.
Real Ghostbusters is a real movie, and this is a comedy send-up.
Agreed.
Oh, okay.
I agree with that 100%. But I think that this movie is funny enough that I don't even worry about it.
Okay, and I found this movie not at all funny, and so that's why I found it to be a stupid movie, because it was just like, It was like, okay, so Kristen Wiig is a teacher at some prestigious school, and then she had written a book on ghosts, and so she's getting the guy from the mansion comes in there, and he's like, I've got your book here, and you need to come look at the ghost. And she's like, that's not my book. That's a joke. And he's like, well, right in the first sentence it says, this is not a joke.
Yeah, there's a series of jokes here that made me laugh very hard. That makes me laugh super hard. Also, when he opens the flap and she's like, "That's not me," and he opens the flap and she looks at it, she's like, "Yeah, no, that's me." All great, all very funny to me.
Okay.
Crack me up, man.
So then she goes to see Melissa McCarthy about it. She's waiting on Chinese food, and then we get this whole protracted bit over the whole movie about how she only
The
gets
wonton.
one wonton or one shrimp, and then at the end of the movie she gets 1,000 wontons and 1,000 shrimp, and
Great bit.
great.
I'm honestly shocked that you don't find this movie funny, because I think they hit peak sketch comedy throughout the movie.
Well,
I think like the wonton bit, hilarious to me, because we've all
Because-
been through it.
Well, I'm gonna go back to it. We have three different tones. We have Kristen Wiig, who plays it pretty straight.
Yes.
We have Melissa McCarthy, who plays it medium straight. Then we
Yep.
have Kate McKinnon, who plays it zero straight. Who's like, oh, it's like, I'm chuckling. I'm saying a bunch of science words that I do not believe, and I can do anything.
Interesting.
Oh God, when she talked sciencey, and when Leslie Jones tried to act like she knew the history of the city, I was like, oh my God, you cannot have these people delivering these lines.
That is so interesting to me. We agree 100% on Leslie Jones, and this is a great time to say this. The reason why I know this movie is good is because I actually found Leslie Jones funny in it. I do not find her funny. I've never seen something she's done and laughed at it until this movie. And I still think she's rocky in this movie, because I agree. When she does like her smart bits, I don't buy it. When she's trying to act, I don't buy it. But I do enjoy some of her jokes. But
I found her to be the most realistic, other than her trying to, be the history buff of New York,
right?
For
yes,
unknowable, because they wanted to give her something and a reason why she's there.
Well, because of Winston, they didn't want to have a Winston scenario where Winston from the original Ghostbusters is literally a non-character, and he joins because he just needs money, and he's like, "I'll believe anything you say," and then he gets one joke through the whole film. It's unfortunate. Because I love Ernie, but so I think they were just we need to give her something. But Leslie Jones.
They gave her something, but it's something she couldn't do, as opposed to the comedy, which I thought she was the strongest comedian in the whole movie by far.
I mean, she has my favorite line of the movie when they drop her in the mosh pit, and she's like, "I don't know if it was a race thing or a lady thing, but I'm mad as hell." That line,
they'd make her fall to the floor.
Cracks me up. But I just want to say, we feel very differently about Kate McKinnon. I think she is the strongest of all of them. She is amazing in this movie. Yes, she's so good. And I 100% believe her science talk over Egon in the original. I think Egon's a terrible character. Love Harold Ramis. I think Egon is a terrible character and just an awful waste of space in that movie. I would much rather have Kate McKinnon. But again, she's goofy, she's crazy, she's zany, and I'm all in 100%.
Does your wife like this movie?
Loves it. We love this movie. This movie, we have the poster on our wall.
There it is. So they do this whole bit they make her listen to a fart. It's really funny. And they do a bunch of
Listen, you can't hit them all out of the park, Dan.
They do a bunch of butt jokes, which they all miss. And then Kristen Wiig brings up the mansion thing, and so they all are going to go to the mansion, and Kristen's going to introduce them so that Abby might take down the book from Amazon, which might help her job. It's just like this completely sort of contrived bullshit bargaining that
Is
occurs. Yeah, oh
I
my God.
I don't think I buy that. I think it all makes perfect sense.
No, because it's like a bargain. Abby's like, well, maybe I'll do it if you do
Well,
this for me.
yes,
You're like,
it is a bargain. Yeah.
but it's a bargain without any kind of teeth. She doesn't say, I will do. Yes, I will do this for you, because these aren't
Which one?
characters that she'll take down the book, because these characters don't.
Oh, sure.
Because she needs it as a money stream to buy a mini fridge.
Yeah.
What?
For the office.
You guys have all this equipment, but you need a mini fridge. You don't have any money.
Well, because that's not something that the university would provide. That's something you have to pay out of your pocket. I did the same thing at work. I had to buy a printer.
Printer, yeah.
Yeah.
Good story, Tony.
I just say it's all realistic. It's all relatable, and that's why it's funny.
So they all get there, and then the people that run the house are just standing outside, and then they keep standing outside even later when they have to do a bit to look out there. They're just standing across the street.
Because they're afraid of the ghost. They're not going to go into the house. They're scared of the ghost.
They're just gonna like stand on the side of the street for how long?
And watch.
How long? And
Until they come out and be like, hey, do we have a ghost? Do we not have a ghost? It's like, imagine your house is on fire, Dan. You're not going to go into the fire with the firefighters. You're going to sit and watch and probably cry while your house burns. That's a bad analogy. But
they were expecting them to be there. They were expecting the Ghostbusters to show up.
I would imagine they called them. They skated over.
They didn't say anything. Okay, once again, this movie's very good at skating over everything and not really everything just sort of happening.
100%. 100%. Again, this isn't if you're coming to this to be like, oh, this is a cinematic movie, like it's not. It's a goofy comedy. Like, look at Anchorman. Are you going to tell me that Anchorman has a narrative that actually makes any lick of sense?
Well, the jokes are funny in that movie.
Ah, yes, just like this movie. Hilarious.
So she's got the E-meter. Mrs. Carter character has the E-meter.
Hold on, you're just going to skate over one of the best jokes of the movie?
Does it work?
Yeah, it's a home run when they show up and I don't know the skinny guy's name. I feel bad. We'll just call him the guy from Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
I don't know. When they show up and she's like, yeah, I just talked to Ed or whatever. And he's like, Ed's been dead for 10 years. She's like, no, I just talked to him. And they're like, yeah, ghost. And then Ed walks up and he's like, no, this is Ed Jr. Great joke. That's a hilarious joke. Really, Dan?
Yeah.
An Ed to Ed Jr. joke, that doesn't work on you? I think you went in with a bad attitude. I'm just going to call it right now.
There is one joke that I liked, and I'll get to it. It's going to be a while. Oh, God. I'm just looking at all these pages of things that are so painful.
Again, I think I said this before the podcast. I have 8 notes, and they're just 8 of my favorite jokes. Because I have 0 faults with this movie.
So the door opens, the thing starts going off, and of course, Melissa McCarthy's character, the E-meter's going off. I didn't even know it did that. You're like, you have this thing, you don't even know what it is.
I would even argue that she built it. Yeah. I don't think it's something she bought. I think she built it.
Once again, they're idiots. Here we have the thing about Kate McKinnon I hated the most. Their thing is spinning and they're freaking out. And then there's this big noise, and we look over, and Kate McKinnon's character is eating Pringles.
It's so good. Again, I cracked up. That's actually one of the things I wrote down. That's one of my favorite jokes of the movie.
I'm sure it was. It was so stupid.
Why does she have Pringles, Dan? Where did she get the Pringles? Is she just bringing them on all her hunts? Love it. 10 out of 10 joke. Cracked up.
Yeah, I didn't expect her to have Pringles.
Exactly.
I thought
for some unbeknownst reason, it makes you angry that someone surprised you with a joke.
Well, they surprised me with a joke that I didn't laugh at. If I'd have laughed at it, I would have gone, "Oh, a joke!" But
the question is, why didn't you laugh? Because someone randomly popping out Pringles—that's a funny bit.
You know why I didn't laugh? Because I took improv with Karen Mariuma, and Karen would make that joke, right. And you know what Karen would do? She would do this, wah wah, because no one in the audience would laugh because it's not funny.
But it is,
And
you
if
can't just.
audiences laughed at this movie, they would love this movie even with all the weird misogynist garbage
I
that went
mean,
with it.
listen, this movie gets 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's including a bunch of male critics who hated it because of the women in the movie. This movie played pretty well. It just didn't make money because there was like this movie never got a chance to actually be seen properly because there was so much backlash before it even came out. I remember this is one of those movies that was review bombed before, so like days before
No,
the
I
movie
remember.
even came
Yeah.
out, it had like 0% or some shit like that, and it's just you can't come back from that. It's
Well,
tough.
you can't come. I just, it's this. It should be this sort of low budget wah comedy, and they're acting like it's a big budget. It's like the original Ghostbusters, which was this like phenomenon. This movie's not a phenomenon. It's just like, we're making Kate
Oh,
McKenna's being whacked.
See, again, I
You know
don't
what this
think that's
movie
what
is?
they're trying to do.
This movie, no, but I think they were trying to do 12 different things, and they didn't do. They ended up with this because
That's interesting.
this movie felt like, you know what this movie felt like? It felt like any of the Saturday Night Live sketches that gets turned into a movie. That's what this feels like.
Oh, see, I disagree so much with that because here's what I think the difference is this movie does have the random comedy, but it actually has like a through line.
What's the through line?
It's the Ghostbusters story. What's the through line is these people that have been laughed at their entire lives, these ghost girls gaining their recognition and being right. Like that's the story of the movie is them gaining that credibility.
So you're saying the emotional arc that these characters are going on is initially they are laughed at, and then at the end people are like, you guys are cool, you were right all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And you felt that. You felt emotional at the end that they really had their comeuppance and it really worked out good for them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
You felt emotions during this movie.
I felt tons of emotions during this movie because again, this movie I think is fantastic. It's what's interesting is that most Saturday Night Live movies, the reason why I think it's different are a series of sketches put together with like a very thin through line. This movie has a story, it has characters, and those characters, some of them do zany things for sure, Kate McKinnon, but they're not scattered scenes put together with like tape and string. There's a through line that we travel through.
So what was their big second act? At the end of the second act, the characters are on their last legs. The worst thing happens to them, and they've lost that last big thing. What is that happens in this movie?
They're called out frauds by the mayor and their team. And even though they just helped save the city, they're like, oh, we're arresting them.
And what happened? So they got arrested, right?
Yeah, they got arrested. Yep.
And
I mean, they didn't actually get arrested. They got fake arrested. Remember? They got pretend arrested.
They got pretend arrested. And how does that affect their ability to Ghostbust?
Because it publicly shamed them. They were gaining notoriety. People were like, "Oh, ghosts are real," and then the mayor shuts it down. It's like we're arresting them because it's all fake and they all planned it, and then everything they just built crumbled to the ground.
So they're no longer able to Ghostbust?
Yeah, because they lost all their funding. People don't call that. Like you can't
nobody called. So they didn't know what was happening with the final thing and couldn't go fix it.
They figured it out themselves. Ghostbusting is people calling you. That's the whole point of the song. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. If nobody's calling you, how are you going to make money?
So how did they get to the final big thing, right? They did the Aussie thing. The mayor, Andy Garcia, map it out, the ley lines. They figure it all out. They know exactly where it is. And then they just sort of go there. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
They shut it off. Abby alone at the office. She gets possessed. Aaron finds the mayor to warn him. Kevin sets the plan in motion. See that? I don't believe that. I still don't. That the whole arrest thing, nothing happened from that. They just
nothing physical, but they got public. I guess I don't understand. They got public. Their whole movie, like we just said, is about them getting proven right. It's that you were right along, ghosts are real. They started doing that, and then the mayor was like, guess what? They're all frauds, and everything they just built through the first 2 acts of the film comes crashing down, and they're like ready to give up. Everyone's quit, everyone's depressed, and then they're like, you know what? We got to save the city anyhow, even though they don't believe in us. That's like a classic trope. That's
I
a
know,
movie
but
trope.
I didn't care.
I mean, you didn't care because you didn't like you. I mean, I know you said you came in even. I think you came in with a bad attitude, and I
No,
would
but
also argue that this story makes more sense than the original. In the original, they do get arrested, which is again there's a lot of nods from this movie. They get arrested. They have blueprints in jail. That's how not arrested they were in the original movie. You want to talk about things that don't
so
make any fucking sense? That movie makes almost
so
zero sense.
this movie solves the problem of them being arrested and having blueprints is by
No, it's a joke
fake
to the
arresting them
original
and not
movie.
arresting them.
The fake arrest is a nod to the original movie where they're like, hey, remember when they got arrested in the real one? We're not doing that here because it's fucking dumb.
I don't know. Okay, Leslie Jones in the subway. She sees a ghost. We learn that there's the ghost bomb. There's the guy setting ghost bombs, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I mean, it's just a human doing it rather than
Yeah, so we actually have a premise for why this thing is happening.
Yeah.
Then they try to rent the firehouse and it's 21,000, so they end up over the Chinese restaurant.
Another great joke, like 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
21,000 a month, go fuck yourself. Like, it's great.
And then they have that. Then we do some dancing, nod to Ellen or whatever.
Yeah.
Then we have Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth, almost really great in this movie.
What? Almost really great? Chris Hemsworth is only second to Kate McKinnon in this movie. It goes Kate McKinnon, Chris Hemsworth, and they're close. They're close, but Kate McKinnon's so good in this movie.
And then where do we go from there? I want to hear the rest of it.
So in general, I would go the next for me is actually Andy Garcia as the mayor. I think he's so good in this movie. I mean, he's only in it a little bit, but he's great. And then obviously it's Kristen Wiig, and then I think there's a little jump to Melissa McCarthy. I'm not a huge Melissa McCarthy fan in general, and she's just, she's doing her thing in this movie, so it's fine. And then there's Leslie Jones towards the bottom of the pile. And then below that is Cecily Strong. Yeah. No, I don't like Cecily Strong in this movie.
Find her really good? Okay.
I did not.
So Chris Hemsworth has all these things. We do this whole, my dog's name is my cat. That was funny. Graphic design, funny.
Him with his glasses. So fucking dumb, but so funny.
I bought that because he actually sold that. And
I mean, listen, I don't want to say bad things, but that sounds to me like you bought it because he's a man. Because Kate McKinnon in this movie, I know that's not the case, but Kate McKinnon sells this movie so hard, and she is brilliant. And I would have liked more scenes with her and Chris Hemsworth, because I think when they are together, the movie is magic, absolute magic. And there's a scene, I don't remember where it is, but there's a scene where we have Chris Hemsworth doing something fucking stupid in the background, and Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig are talking, and all Kate McKinnon is doing is just watching him be stupid, and her facial expressions are so good. So good. Unbelievable.
Okay, so Leslie's there to make them go to the subway because in addition to taking tickets, she also patrols and wants to...
I had questions about that. It feels very dangerous. She just like grabs a flash. Like earlier when the guy jumps on the rails, she doesn't call like a security guy.
She just
grabs a flashlight and goes down. I hope that's not the real case, because that's how people get murdered.
So we go to the station, and then we do this thing where this guy's the spray paint guy, and he spray paints the Ghost logo.
Yeah. Oh, you saw a ghost? Here, I'll show you a ghost. No ghost? No ghost. Great stuff.
he's the guy that comes down here and paints all the time, and I'm mad at him. Ha 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 ha, spray paint, and then I walk
Well,
away.
again, she has no real authority. I don't know why she's the one policing it.
Well,
Doesn't make any sense.
if you understood anything about the world, she would just call someone like security and
That's
they
what I'm saying.
down and arrest
don't
the
know.
guy. But that would
Like,
be a movie that existed
in the
in the real
world
world.
that they set up, it makes perfect sense because she has no real authority, and yet she's somehow the one that's policing this subway station. So yeah, you're gonna do whatever you want because she doesn't have any real power.
So they go down there, they give Erin the proton gun because she's got the longest arms. That's
Yeah, you keep it
You laughed at that joke?
out. No, I didn't laugh at that joke. I laughed
Okay.
when she shot it.
Whew, okay.
But not
You
at
didn't
that
laugh
joke.
at that joke.
No.
Thank God. We're finding some place to
Well,
come
like,
together.
I mean, like any good movie, you're not gonna hit all of your jokes. Like you throw enough out that you get 70%. You're doing great.
So yeah, the ghost gets hit by the train, and then she decides to join them for some reason and then she makes the joke, he will work for Vienna sausages. I laughed at that joke. So
Yeah, me too.
41 minutes.
Which I have to imagine was just probably her. That was probably improv.
I think so, because it was very funny.
It was fun.
Then we get she brings the hearse, and then we have a bunch of jokes that don't land about the hearse.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. You don't like the dead body in the back jokes. Okay.
I guess that's the whole thing. Is like I'm not tuned into this movie being this way. It's just like
Is it because of the original?
I'm going to say it again. It's because everybody's playing in a different world. Because everybody just exists in their own little orbit, and none of these characters ever seem to come together. Kate McKinnon's like, I'm aping, and then Kristen Wiig is trying to like play a character, and then Melissa McCarthy's like, I'm wacky, and just everybody existed in their own universes, and they never felt like a team at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's so interesting to me.
I mean, at the end of this movie, the three of them are in one place, and then Kristen Wiig's character can't get to her Ghostbusters stuff, and then miraculously, they all come together.
Yeah,
like
because she comes and helps them.
But she gets her we set up that she can't get to her Ghostbuster stuff, and she has no way to get there, and then she has her stuff, and then she's there.
Well, she went to go see the mayor and try to get the mayor to evacuate the city, while the other girls were like, let's go kick some tail. And it's so interesting because the way you feel about this team is how I feel about the original Ghostbusters. I don't think those characters are a team. I think the camaraderie in this movie is a 10 out of 10. The original Ghostbusters is a Bill Murray movie.
Oh, of course it's a Bill Murray movie. Yeah.
Exactly. But this movie is not a X movie. This movie is about all of them. I think they all hold their own, and I think that they play off each other brilliantly, and I feel like this is an ensemble where the first movie, you got one character, and then you got three other guys just kind of standing around being the butt of his jokes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the star of that movie by far.
And right, and to me, Ghostbusters should be a team. I think it's just so interesting to me that we feel differently about that.
Okay, now we have we're in the alley and we're testing the ghost stuff, and Melissa McCarthy becomes Homer Simpson.
Yep.
And you're good with that.
100%. This is a great joke.
You're good
this
with
is a classic.
And let me smoking cigarettes and not caring that like she should be dying.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon's like, yeah, we just gotta wait till she runs out of juice. Hilarious. To me, that's so funny because what are you gonna do? You're gonna get in the middle of the proton phaser thing? No, you're dead. You're dead. You just let it go.
You would just be like,
it's a classic. It's a classic fat person joke. Because if you did that with the skinny person, and I don't know why. To me, not as funny, but because it's one of my own, one of the fat people, it becomes a funny joke.
And they do that with Melissa McCarthy. They do that in her other movies where they fling her around like she's nothing. And
I don't know what it is, but it's fun to watch. I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay. Then Oh, we have Bill Murray. Oh, Bill Murray. Uh,
I will. Here's what I will say about
yeah,
the cameos is I think that they feel similarly to how you feel about the whole idea of the movie, because not a single one of them wants to be there.
they're terrible. All the cameos are
Not only are
terrible.
they
They're
terrible, but they
painful.
seem angry.
Yep,
Like they all seem angry that they're there,
yep.
and that really bums me out. It bums me out a lot,
So now we're doing the whole concert thing.
except for Ernie. Actually, now that I think about
Ernie
it,
was
at
fine.
the end,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was like happy to get a paycheck.
yeah.
So we're at the concert, and there's this really terrible band is playing, and then this mannequin comes to life. Did you know who that
Poor
band
man.
was?
This poor. I don't. I have no
It
idea.
was so horrible. And then
Uh,
this mannequin, which I liked the mannequin, I thought that was creepy, and then it turns into
it was creepy. That was like it was the only moment of the film that played the scarier elements of it. You know what I mean? And obviously it was still played for a joke. But the what was great about the original film is that they really leaned into like the horror elements of it and made it a little spooky. And I think this was like it was a nice nod to that in this scene.
So you're saying this movie not spooky, not horror related?
No, not at all. Not at all. Except
Not
for
at
this
all.
one scene. But that's not what they're going for. Again, they're going for a bombastic comedic blockbuster, and they succeed in that.
I still want to know what's the comparable movie to this movie? Name
I
one movie that's like
like
this movie.
any summer blockbuster outside of the Marvel movies.
Just name one. Not
Transformers.
oh, I hate those movies.
You I 2 through infinity, I understand. You don't like the original Ghostbusters? Sorry. Transformers.
I don't. I don't. I think I barely made it through it.
Oh God, I
Oh,
love that movie.
so bad.
Great. Perfect summer blockbuster.
Okay, so
Again.
you're saying this movie is like Con Air?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a great example from a different time. A silly, fun, high action, ridiculous blockbuster. Yes.
Yeah, but in one of those movies, this movie does not have high action. You never feel like these characters are in any kind of jeopardy or anything's really happening. It's just they're like wah wah.
Well, they're shooting lasers at people all the time.
So wait a second. So you're saying in the real Ghostbusters movie, at a certain point
Yeah.
you have that line where it's like, "Don't cross the streams, don't do this because you're going to cause something to blow up and bad things."
Oh, and we can talk about that all day. What a contrived plot point, but continue.
So you didn't think, "Oh my God, they better not do this." You liked it better in
No,
this movie where you're like, nothing bad is ever going to happen. They're just throwing the
correct.
things
Only
around,
because
throwing
the
bombs.
way that they do that, in my opinion, the way they do that in the original movie literally tells you that they're going to do it at the end of the movie. It's the most obvious setup callback scenario ever. He randomly says, he's like, oh, by the way, don't ever cross the streams because something bad will happen. And that's not going to come back in about 45 minutes. Don't worry. Awful. Awful writing.
So you don't like it when they set up plot points and then pay them off. You just want
Clumsily. It is thrown in. If something would have happened in the movie where they accidentally almost do it, and he's like, oh my God, don't do that. Something bad will happen. Great. It's literally a moment they're heading into something. He's like, oh, wait, by the way, I forgot to tell you, don't cross the streams. That is the most inorganic nonsense. And in a movie that I think is written pretty well, original Ghostbusters, it just feels super out of place. And you know that it's going to be a plot point that comes back. And
So what do they set up in this movie that they pay off later?
tons of things. I mean, it's all emotional stuff. It's the Ghost Girl stuff. And they bring that back several times. Chris Hemsworth setting up stuff. And when he becomes the villain, he pays it off. I mean, it's all over the board. But it's not plot points. It's more character stuff. Because this movie, again, isn't about the plot. The plot is there, but it's just about these people doing funny things. So they're going to set up funny jokes that they pay off later.
So they beat the ghost at the thing. They put it in the thing. They go back to the office. They do another dance break. Oh yeah, they perform with the band because
Yeah,
They perform with the
because
band.
silly stuff.
Silly stuff. Then Bill Murray shows up and he's like, "Oh, show me what's in the thing." She's like, "We can't show you what's in the thing." And then Kristen Wiig's character's like, "Oh, let the ghost out." Because
Because of the Ghost Girl stuff. Because he's saying, I don't believe you really did it. It's all character stuff, Dan.
and
She
believe
is Ghost Girl.
you believe that character would release a ghost to prove
A 1,000,000%. Because of how upset she gets when she gets called Ghost Girl or a facsimile of. She would definitely go to the ends to prove it. Especially if they've already captured it once. They could probably do it again. And I will say, when the is it a dragon? I don't know what the ghost is.
big
When
bat.
the ghost throws Bill Murray out the window,
Yeah.
I cheer.
And
Because
so
I'm so mad that he's in this movie.
he dies, right?
Oh, yeah, he's dead for sure. And we don't deal with it at all.
So a person just been murdered because of her incompetence, which she has. Okay, so let's do a little Kristen Wiig's character through hubris lets this ghost go, which kills a person, and her emotional reaction to a person getting killed because of her taking a stupid action. What is her emotional? How do we deal with that emotionally in the movie?
They make jokes down on the street
They
with the
make a
cops.
bunch of jokes about a dead guy.
Absolutely. Because again, Dan, this isn't a real movie. If you're, I don't understand.
I keep forgetting that this is not a real. I keep watching it and I'm like, it feels like a movie, but it's not a real movie.
See, it is a movie, but it's not. It's not a drama. It's a ridiculous. I mean, they kill people in Anchorman all the time. Nobody gives a fuck because it's a joke.
Do they kill
It's not
people?
a movie to be taken seriously.
They kill people in Anchorman?
Oh, do you not remember the whole standoff? People get arms torn off. People get killed with a trident. There's a joke in the next scene. Brick killed a guy. It's not that kind of movie.
I just, huh?
When they're down on the street and he's like, "Now who threw this man out the window?" And Kate McKinney just goes, "A ghost." Makes me laugh. Hilarious.
Okay, so they figure out that the ley lines, it's at this place, so they go there, they meet the villain guy, he kills himself, and then the mayor's people show up and have them arrested, not arrested, to jail, not to jail.
Fake arrested for show, so everyone knows that they're frauds.
Now, Abby's alone in the office, she gets possessed by the dude that just killed himself, and then we have this fight, and Patty, the guy is destroys at least one of the backpacks.
Proton packs.
And that never comes back into play.
Correct.
And then he possesses Kevin. And so, Aaron wants to find the mayor to warn him. And then Kevin sets his plan in motion.
Yeah. And her finding the mayor is not only a brilliant nod to the original, but also a hilarious joke when Cecily, this is the best Cecily Strong is in the entire movie, which is like, she thinks they're all sliding doors. Hilarious.
That was funny.
Great stuff. And a great nod to the original when Rick Moranis runs to the restaurant and is banging on the door to get in and then, gets eaten by a dog or whatever.
So they're in. So the three of them, Aaron. It's okay. So then the three of them are in the car. No communication. And Slimer steals the car, which I like. Slimer looked good. And they have Slimer's girlfriend.
And like Slimer family, that made me laugh when they're in the car having a good time.
That was
great
funny.
Stuff.
And then we have the balloons, which was like probably my favorite part of the whole movie was when they fight with the balloons.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I wish there had been more of this, where there was actual some ghost busting that like made some sort of sense.
Sure. Yeah.
And then
that's fine.
We have a callback to the Swiss Army knife. That was funny.
Yeah, great.
And then
setting up plot points, knocking them down later.
And then
crushed it.
The one part I liked was Holtzman with the two guns where she shoots a bunch of ghosts. Best part of the whole movie. Best part of the whole movie. Super great.
When she fucking licks them.
See, good. I bought that, but all the other things, just didn't
It's so weird that you buy that and nothing else. All of the movie is building to that moment where she whips out two little guns, fucking licks one, and then just shoots everybody. Great stuff.
Then
Great character development.
we get in the hotel the big weird ghost, which is based on the Ghostbusters. So they have to fight the Ghostbusters logo. Is what they're doing.
Yeah, listen, the finale obviously a little silly. I mean, they're obviously going for like, what can we do instead of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? And Marshmallow Man's still gonna win that fight any day.
And then he breaks the building, and then, God, it just gets so terrible at the end here. And then they shoot somebody in the crotch, and then
Yeah, the giant guy.
They get-
Great joke. Hilarious joke. They got to loosen his grip. The only way to do that, hit him in the nuts.
and
A plus.
So then they reverse the polarities and throw the car into the thing, and
Which, by the way, same way they solved the first movie.
Yeah. So
only they do it in a more realistic way where other things get sucked in.
So everything's getting sucked in, including Melissa McCarthy's character, and so Kristen Wiig's character jumps in with a cable,
with like a truck cable or something like that. I don't know.
And then basically the hole seals up, but somehow they pull her back out through a sealed
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you a question, Dan. If you're doing this movie, right? Would you make that hole? Would you make that hole close so much that you know that while they're in there, it becomes concrete? No, you wouldn't. You'd keep the hole big so she could still pull her out, and then it closes up. Doesn't make any sense.
You just slow it down a little bit. It would
100%.
have been incredibly easy to slow it down a little bit, but somehow we get to the end and it's the holes on the other side of two doors, and they pull them out through the doors so
it's like inside the building for some reason.
Now we're going to get to the part of the movie which I hate the most.
Okay.
They pull them out, and they both have white hair.
Yeah.
And then in the next scene, Kristen Wiig's hair is red, and then Melissa McCarthy's character is still a little bit of white roots, and then it's dark. And then in the next scene, hers is kind of a different red, and then Melissa McCarthy's is like completely dark. So in 3 scenes, we've gone through 3 different hairdos, and I don't even understand why we did any of that.
Well, I don't know why they chose to go white. I don't get that joke.
Uh-oh, I can't hear you. You just got muted.
Weird. I did. Sorry, I hit my mute button. Didn't mean to.
If you can explain to me why they have white hair, then I will forgive this movie.
I can only explain to you why they did it for the joke of Garfield.
I mean,
that's it.
You mean her changing her hair to red? Okay.
Right. And then she's like, the box said Garfield, and it's not even the cat. It was the president. That's a great joke. Made me laugh really hard. But did that pay off turning it white? No. Because I don't understand it.
They came out with the white, and then they say you were gone for all these years, even though everything looks... and why is it daytime?
Well, they weren't really gone. They were gone for like 2 seconds. They were just joking because of the white. I don't understand the white hair.
But why is it daytime? It's literally daytime when they get pulled out of the hole.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, how is it? I don't understand. Why is it daytime?
I think what was happening, I think it was daytime the whole time, and the sky was turning dark because of the evilness.
Oh.
Because it was like a storm of evilness. Those are the ghosts, by the way.
Okay. But there's no they just made their hair white so they could make the joke about time, and then make a Garfield joke, and then have another different hairdo for no reason in the next scene.
Well, I think Kristen Wiig's is just kind of faded because that's what happens when you dye your hair. I don't understand the Melissa McCarthy one.
I don't know.
Maybe that's a joke that women get because they dye their hair. I don't know. I don't dye my hair.
I see why you could find this movie funny, but I don't know.
And I also, as much as I like this movie, if you love the original and were hoping that this was a similar movie to the original, I can understand you being very, very upset about it. It is a totally different movie, which to me is fine because I was never a huge fan of the original. I think the original is good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's that funny. I think it's fine. And I watched them back to back last night just to confirm. I think I laugh 4-5 times in the original. That's it. Like, and it's all, every single one of them is Bill Murray. In this movie, I think every character gets their own laughs. I think they all do a great job. I think, again, the original is like a Bill Murray movie, and I think this is an ensemble movie.
Yeah, I think this movie fails for me because of Kate McKinnon. I think that's why.
Which is bums me out because I just love her so much.
I think she can be incredibly funny. You know, the alien sketch,
Sure.
very funny. I've watched every Saturday Night Live for the past 6 or 7 years. I've watched every single one of them, every episode, every sketch.
Sure.
And when she hits, she hits. When she doesn't hit, I just sit there and I go womp womp. And I mean, I don't like that kind of comedy where it's a lot of like backslapping and like, oh, look at us, we're being funny. It's like, don't tell me you're being. She always feels like she's telling me she's being funny. There's never a point at which, and she actually at the very end of that movie, she got a little emotional, and I was like, where was this character? And that's the thing is,
well, that's the joke. That's the joke at the end, is that they think she's going to do something crazy, and then she does something real, and it's very difficult for her because she's a cartoon character.
She's a cartoon. I see. That's the thing is, I don't know.
Did you? Sorry, no. Finish. Sorry.
I always say that like the best actors are comedians because comedians know how to be funny and know how to have pathos and can bring those two things together. I feel like she keeps that pathos at arm's distance so as not to show her true self. And I think that smirk on her face is not who she really is. I think it's a defensive mechanism, and I would love to see her like do something real. And I think she learned a lot about herself.
I would love to see that too.
And I wish that she'd played this not as the Three Stooges. I wish and it's like
that's interesting to me because I think that the only reason the dynamic works is because she's in it. Otherwise, because the other two aren't nearly funny enough to hold the movie on their own. But together, I think they work really well. Kate McKinnon, again, for me, Kate McKinnon is by far the best character in this movie, followed shortly by Chris Hemsworth.
I mean, that's Chris Hemsworth, when he's selling us comedy, I love it because he really feels like that idiot. Saxophone to the ear, saxophone to the mouth. I'm like, I bought that from him. What
do you like better, playing saxophone or listening to saxophone?
But we understand that character's an idiot, and Chris Hemsworth has spent years and years really perfecting that tonally, and it just feels like Kate McKinnon's always giving us a wink. Chris Hemsworth never gives us a wink. Never gives us a wink.
Well, not never. I think he gives plenty of winks as Fat Thor, but I digress.
No, but I mean, he doesn't give us a wink that says, I'm not really this person. And Kate always is giving us this wink that it's like, you can't really believe what I'm saying.
That's it. It's interesting. In this movie, I'm fully on board with her. Do you like Ace Ventura?
I have a lot of problems with him too.
Interesting. Okay, because that's in this movie. This is the closest we've gotten to like that '90s slapstick over the top comedy.
You are saying exactly what it is. This is a Jim Carrey type movie, and those movies, you love those movies.
Not only do I love it, but that's what made me want to be a comedian.
But you're not that kind of comedian at all.
Because that kind of comedy died out, and people no longer enjoy it. And so I've had to adapt to it. But when we get those little nuggets of it, I cherish it. I absolutely cherish it.
So this is
Jim Carrey in Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Best Jim Carrey I've seen in 20 years. And one of my favorite, Robotnik in that movie is one of my favorite characters of a very long time. Because it's that I miss that. I love that. And, I thank her for bringing it to this movie. And I understand that that's not for everybody. Even, That's okay.
I think that is the whole point of this movie, is that they are selling this very broad kind of comedy that does not have the audience it once did. People do not want to see that kind of comedy for the most part in kind of any really, I mean, I can't, that's why I keep saying comparables. It's like, where else is anybody delivered? And you know where they deliver this stuff? On, Avenue 5, which was,
I still haven't seen it.
oh, it was so terrible. And you know what?
That makes me want to see it now, because maybe I will enjoy it.
Audiences rejected it so hard. Like, hard.
That I know.
And that's, I think this, I mean, this thing has its whole weird controversy, but I think audiences rejected this kind of movie because that's not how they want to see. But they, and I think that's where Melissa McCarthy has kind of, did you watch the superhero one?
Not yet. I just can't bring myself to do it, Dan.
It's very similar to this, where they're trying.
Is it? Okay.
Well, is it very similar to this? I'm trying to think. I've already forgotten most of what I thought about it because it was. Yeah, it's similar sort of stuff. Not similar, but it's just
the vibe.
It's this non-sophisticated comedy that doesn't really go anywhere, and they just sort of set up all these weird things, and you're just like, okay, you're being weird but not really weird.
Sure.
Because this movie's not really that weird. It's kind of like, okay, I don't know, it doesn't work for me.
Sure.
But you like it because it harkens back to a simpler time where Tony was going to be his little prop comic.
I don't know if I call it a simpler time. I do think that it was a funnier time. In general, I think there are less and less good, what I consider good comedies than there used to be. Like, most of my favorite comedies are from, 15, 20 years ago. And I'm just an old man.
But
that's what it is.
See, I'm thinking about Weekend at Bernie's. Weekend at Bernie's, very broad, very, but there's still like this thread of reality, I felt, even in that movie.
Not only that movie is more of a crazy situation than the zany characters. And that's just a different kind of broad.
It's a crazy situation, you're right. That is different.
Yeah. But I do love that movie.
I guess I have a hard time connecting with these zany characters that are just over the top.
Sure.
It just doesn't resonate with me anymore. Not that it ever did.
I think, well, I mean, even if it did, I think that people in general feel the same way that you do. It for whatever reason, we've moved away from that. And I think it's, cynicism and, a shitty world that we live in, that kind of takes away that childlike joy from all of us, would be probably where I would start my argument. But, I love it because, I mean, Ace Ventura is still, to this day, one of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm just trying to think if everything is tinged with cynicism at this point. Is there anything?
I don't know if everything is, but I do feel like most things are.
I mean, you look at Batman and all that stuff, and even the Avengers. Although there's hope at the end, it's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty dark through the middle, even though you don't buy it because the characters have contracts.
I have my problems with Infinity War, but it's fine. I loved Endgame, so there's that.
Wait,
Wait,
hold on a second.
Did I say them backwards?
You like the first one or the second one?
I like the second one. Is that not Endgame?
Yeah, you're so crazy.
I think the emotion comes through in the second one and not the first one. That's what I think. You
like Captain America getting old, and you like Iron Man dying.
I mean, I love that. Makes me cry. Whether or not you think it makes sense, I honestly don't care. Like, I'm like, who cares? He deserves a happy ending.
Who does?
Captain America.
Oh, I ignore that whole aspect of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that I write that out of the movie because I think that's dumb.
What? I mean, listen, this is obviously a whole nother podcast, but I love that their trajectories cross in the middle and then end on separate sides. Captain America is all about learning to become more selfish and care more about himself, and Iron Man has to learn the opposite. Iron Man ends in death. Cap ends in giving himself a happy ending, which sounds weirder than it is now that I've said that out loud. But I love it. I think it's pretty.
See, I pull a full Tony and I ignore both of their endings. I don't buy either of them. So
You don't buy Iron Man giving the ultimate sacrifice?
no, I buy that.
But-
I buy that, but I don't believe his character's dead. I just like,
Oh, it's dead.
no. I
He's
mean,
dead, Dan.
that's fine. He's no longer gonna be in the movies, but it's like, Tony Stark doesn't die in the comics, so he's not dead. So
Sure.
they killed him off in this. Just see, I do the reverse Tony. I'm like, yeah, they killed him off, but he's not dead, really. They just bring him back.
Then what did you care? Why would you care if Spider-Man died? Because he's not only coming back in the comics, as always, but he's also coming back in the movies. That doesn't make any sense.
Because it was sad.
It wasn't sad at all.
Super sad.
Oh, I'm cold. Blah. What an idiot.
I was sad.
3,000. I love you 3,000. Now that's fucking sad. Whew. That gets me every time.
Yeah, but you see, that's the whole thing about you have to turn off Moulin Rouge. It's like I don't watch the end of that movie. I watch it up to the point where Tony Stark snaps his fingers, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm done.
I am Iron Man. Boom. Movie's over. I'd love
that's
that. I'm okay with it.
That's the end of the movie.
Because
what else are you going to
again,
do?
you know that I turn off Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
Because I don't need to see her coughing up blood and dying on stage. Pass. Super pass.
You don't need all that. You just stay. You get to the emotional parts. Then you're like, he solved the problem. Problem is solved.
Okay. Great.
They go on with their lives for the rest of their lives.
I love it. Beautiful.
Is the world too cynical? Can it not deal with a movie that is just there for laughs?
I don't know if it's not that we can't deal with it. I just don't think we want to see it. I don't think it appeals to us anymore like it used to. I don't think it's necessarily like we're actively making a choice like, oh, it's too happy. I just think that no longer really appeals to us as much.
But is that
I don't know.
Is that but you see, I demand of my comedies at this point that they be. But you see, that's the thing. I can't watch. I can't watch the dead hooker in the hotel movie. I have to turn that off. I can't watch the dark comedy. I can't watch it.
Oh, gotcha. Shit, I can't think of that name. But yeah,
I mean, even The Hangover's right on the edge.
Interesting. Okay. Hangover, another movie that I adore. The first one.
And The Joker, his other movie.
I think that's one of the worst movies that has ever been made in the history of film.
Well, we've disagreed on another movie, except we didn't ever disagree on Twilight. You came around to Twilight. I'm not coming around to the stupid.
I did come around on Twilight. That's true. Begrudgingly, but it was more fun than I remember.
I will forgive Ghostbusters just because Chris Hemsworth was funny. I just
when there's a loud noise and he covers his eyes, it's too loud.
when he was trying to reach into the aquarium. See,
that's the scene. That's the scene where Kate McKinnon's giving him the eyes. I think where she's like,
I don't know.
So good. I love it.
Stupid Kate McKinnon. Sick.
I mean, the whole movie's stupid. That's like the bottom line. It's a stupid, fun movie, and I think that it delivers.
Then again, I can't watch The Simpsons anymore. I can't watch Homer Simpson being Homer Simpson.
I've never really given it a try.
You've never watched The Simpsons?
I mean, I've seen like episodes and pieces here and there, but I've never like sat down and actually watched The Simpsons.
One of the cultural documents of our time you have not seen.
Yeah, it started as just like a thing where I was like, oh, I don't think that looks all that interesting. And then like 5 or 6 years in, it became everyone's like, this is the best show ever. And then it became about defiance. And now it's the longest running show like ever. And I'm like, nah, fuck them. I'm not going to give them the time of day. Someday, maybe.
Tony.
I've already been burned by Family Guy, so I don't know.
See, I can't watch Family Guy. I hate Family Guy.
I get that. And I enjoyed it a lot, and I've been over it for.
I think that's
time.
the whole thing. Is if once you watch too much Family Guy, this kind of comedy gets burnt out of you, and you can't do it anymore. You just like I don't want a Peter Griffin kind of character ever again in my life. I just do not have to see that character. I don't want to have to imagine a dog having sex with women. I don't need to.
You have a real problem with that sort of thing, which makes me laugh.
I don't need goddamn statutory rapist living next door to another character. I don't
Quagmire.
need that. You know, I don't
Yeah.
need that.
Nah, and I get it.
And they did a whole episode about him being a statutory rapist. Literally,
That is correct.
an episode
Yes.
about him being a statutory rapist, and you're just like, what the? How can you continue to write this character
For years? It's years and years and years. I don't know, man.
and we're surprised? I certainly won't put, and that's. I guess I have to apologize to Kate McKinnon for that.
Great,
because
she'll appreciate that. I think
those assholes ruined her for me.
Sure. And I just before we go, and then this is the last thing I'm going to say on it. I think the original I think they're both great on it with their own merits. I think the original Ghostbusters is a subtle comedy.
Yes, very subtle.
And this is about as opposite comedically as you can get. And if one of them's your cup of tea, that's great. You don't have to like both.
It sure my end point's going to be, it sure seems like a dangerous thing to make a comedy that is totally completely different than another comedy and expect, and hope to, because that was the thing. It's like, and I think you pointed it out, that the new one, the trailer for the new one goes in the exact opposite direction. And I love that trailer. And I'm still excited for that movie based on that trailer.
Well, listen, people can learn, and they learned that, audiences maybe wanted something more akin to the original. What are you going to do?
Each progressive Batman movie has to get darker. They don't pull up the 1966 TV show and go, this is the blueprint of what.
No.
If they tried to go full 1966 without any kind of, irony behind it, they would get murdered.
People would turn on them.
People would walk into that theater and they would murder the filmmakers.
But you know who would enjoy it?
Tony would enjoy it.
This guy. I would love that. I think that would be very fun.
Let's make this movie.
Who's got money? Send it my way.
Batman movie with bat tear gas and the Batigator.
Shark repellent.
And I think that's the whole point, is you can't... You better be careful if you try and go in a less cynical direction with a franchise, because people are not going to be happy.
I mean, listen, I'm not in rooms that make decisions, but
no, you're not.
It was the wrong one, it turns out.
For the box office, yes. For Tony,
yes,
it's the perfect.
I mean, it's great. It's great. It's not Ghostbusters, but it's a great movie on its own, and I think that It could have started a franchise for me. I would have seen a sequel, hands down. And I'd be okay if you did both. You know what I mean? Like, have different realities. Let's go to alternate realities here.
Well, you can't do that because we deal with this toxic fan base. And then I guess that's my whole point is, yes, they made a movie that is not for me.
Yes.
Is it a bad movie? The jokes just don't land with me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing about comedy is a tough thing to do. And everyone has their own flavor. And if the general zeitgeist isn't really digging your formula right now, you're gonna get a lot of hate.
They made hundreds of Westerns every year for a lot of years. And you know how many they make every year? None.
Wow. Remember 310 to Yuma when they remade that, right? That was pretty good, I think.
No, it was not.
Was it?
The original is incredible. That one is like...
Doesn't it have Ben? It doesn't matter.
I think it's what's his name?
Matter.
Master and Commander. Wasn't it?
Yeah, no, the lead guy is a piece of shit, but one of the side characters is great. I don't know. I haven't seen it in years. Anyhow.
So, Tony, tell us something you liked in addition to Ghostbusters 2016.
Sure, I guess I'll come up with something different that I liked. I am almost all the way through a book that I'm really enjoying, and I missed the train on this. It's called A Once Crowded Sky. It's by Tom King, who is a comic writer, and it's about superheroes that gave all but one gave up their power to save the world, and now this one guy has the weight on his shoulders. It's very interesting. I'm enjoying it a lot. But I did not get a chance to watch a lot of TV this week.
Did we already talk about Jupiter's Legacy or whatever the hell that show was?
We talked about it.
Oh, we talked about it last time. Okay.
Yeah, we could talk about it again. How terrible it was.
Did you watch?
Did we not talk about it?
I thought we talked. I liked it.
Oh, I didn't buy it.
We talked about it.
I liked the past storyline more than the present storyline.
You didn't like it because the ending turn didn't make any sense or wasn't informed by anything that had happened in the show.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pick something that's good, that's real comedy, that's properly cynical. Good God. Hacks on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I did. Yeah.
10 out of
I like it.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I don't know if I give it 10, but it's really good. It's really good.
When she replaces the CO2 cartridge on her soda machine in her kitchen, that was one of my favorite scenes of all time in any show ever, forever.
It's good. It's very good.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Jean Smart's so good. She's good in Mayor of Eastwick. She's been great in everything.
I have not seen that. Is that good? That might have been one of your likes.
I already talked about it. Right. I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's like one of those small town crime dramas. All these interweaving situations. I'm a sucker for that. I watch everything like that.
For sure.
Because I love those. I love them. So, Tony, now you get to pick a movie for us to watch, which hopefully we'll both properly hate this time.
I feel good about it. I feel really good about it.
You better feel good about it.
I'm sticking with the reboot/remake theme.
Uh-oh.
And we're going to a movie that was released in 2020.
2020?
And stars Iron Man, who I think we both love.
Tony Stark?
And of course, I mean, it's Robert Downey Jr. And of course, it is Doolittle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever seen the original movie?
So we talked about, I have not seen the original, but I loved Eddie Murphy one. Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen the old one.
I might have to rewatch the Eddie Murphy because I certainly have seen it at some point, but I don't really remember how it all worked, what the magic of it is.
Sure. Maybe I should watch all three of them.
I'll probably rewatch the original because it is one of my favorite movies, but that is because it is a childhood thing and I love all the songs.
Sure.
And
I always forget that it's a musical.
It's always so a musical.
Okay.
And if you do not enjoy the music, you will want to kill yourself because
they go for it.
I'm the Hello Dolly guy.
Sure.
Take me there. That is my comfort zone.
I like it.
Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doolittle or whatever.
Doolittle.
Oh. Wow.
Hopefully they don't do little.
Is it
do a lot.
Is it supposed to be bad?
It's supposed to be pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it did. I didn't check on its score, but I think it did pretty bad.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a plan.
I didn't see it. Did you see it?
I'm sure I didn't see it. It was last year.
It's got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Sweet.
So do that what you want.
It sounds like a good choice.
Yeah.
Well, if you like what you saw here, if you're getting here because you watched our show about Tenet, people have been watching our Tenet one.
Oh, really?
Been getting some views on that one.
I'm sure everyone's mad because it's a great film.
I also think movies like Tenet, people like to watch bad reviews because I like to watch reviews of things that I hate so that I could feel good about myself.
Yeah, vindication.
So I'm going to watch 2 or 3 of those about this Ghostbusters movie, so I can watch.
And they're going to be angry white male nerds. Enjoy yourself, Dan.
Just like me, an angry white nerd. If I meet Melissa McCarthy, I'm going to give her a stern talking to about this movie. Actually, you make a good point. I'd much rather watch this movie again than rewatch Thunder Force.
I gotta watch it this week. I gotta know. I gotta get deep in it.
Yeah, it's really weird. What's his name plays a guy with crab arms. It's really weird.
Crab arms? Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Sounds
really
great.
weird things. Yeah. There's one good scene right at the beginning of the movie where she beats up.
Similar to Mortal Kombat, where it starts strong and then falls apart.
I love any scene where somebody beats up a bully. I love
yeah,
that.
for sure.
I could just make somebody should make like a super clip of people beating up bullies because I hate bullying scenes.
Yeah,
and I think they should be removed from movies because I think they're terrible. But I love seeing people do serious damage to bullies.
Dan's all about that revenge.
I am. I'm all about vengeance.
I love it.
So if you like what you see, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, leave a like, tell a friend, subscribe. I don't think you can subscribe, but you could subscribe. I guess you can subscribe.
I mean, you can like subscribe to your channel because it doesn't have its own channel.
Because its own channel. It needs its own channel. Well, it'll get its own channel.
It's way too late for that.
If it does anything.
All right. Well, great job, everybody.
Good job, everybody. Let's see.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch him!